This week on the Baseline Podcast, Josh and I are discussing March Madness. Yes, the brackets are here. We are breaking down every single game. We are giving our prediction for every single game. Who's making it to the Sweet 16? Who's making it to the Elite 8? Who's making it to the Final Four? And finally, who is winning it all? All that and so much more coming up on the Baseline Podcast. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben. That's Josh. And we are alive and well in the middle of March. March Madness is here. The cold weather has returned here in Hungary. At least it was sleeting as I was leaving school today. I was like, oh, glorious. Also, Fafa's joined us by chewing her bones. So I apologize if any of you hear any chewing. It is not me going nuts. I promise you that. But yes, and I also have my juice box today because cheers. Anyways, Josh, this is already going off the rails. Josh, how are you doing? How's March feeling for you? It's already halfway through March. Like, how are you doing?
Yeah, we also had some cold weather come in, so it's a high of 45 degrees, but it's supposed to
same.
heat up again as the week goes on. So we're officially in that pattern of up and down temperature
It's like
in the
someone said, like
Midwest.
Midwest. Someone said, like Midwest. We don't have a spring. We have a late winter, and then we have
Late
early
winter, early
fall.
summer, yeah, stuff like
Like
that.
there's this just yeah.
It's also St. Patrick's Day here in the
It
States. I
is.
don't know if Hungary, I know it's probably
Well,
super popular in some of the European countries,
well,
being
no.
Irish
Uh,
origins and all.
There's a lot of Irish pubs here, so obviously they celebrate it. There are some Irish people that are here that live here, so there is that celebrate. Not in the schools. Like I was substituting a class today, and the teacher wanted me to talk about St. Patrick's Day, and the kids were clueless. So,
Hmm.
yeah. So I think but it is celebrated for sure in certain parts of the city.
Okay. Yeah, we got that going on. And then obviously, topic today, March Madness, the
Yes,
men's
sir.
basketball tournament. We got the field all set yesterday, not without controversy, of
Oh boy.
course.
Oh boy.
I don't think it's ever controversy free, but Ben, in my
Oh
28
man,
years on
this
this
is
planet, I feel like
this is
this has the
fire,
most
man.
dispute, the most issues taken. Uh, and I think the overall conclusion with a lot of people is if this is the 68 team field that we came up with, why would we ever need to expand? Because expansion is still a discussion, even when you're up to 68 teams in men's
Yeah.
college basketball. But if we got like 15 lost Texas, 14 lost Baylor, North Carolina somehow sneaks in. We got 14 out of 16 SEC schools that
Ridiculous.
earned a trip. I don't think we need to expand anymore. And that's not even like half of the selections I think that we're taking issue with. But I'll turn it over to you. Overall take on the field.
Look, look, this is the way I put it. Like, look, I'm a High State fan. You all know this. High State didn't deserve to be in. Like, there are some High State fans that are like, hey, we deserved it. We had like six quality one wins. Okay, but if you watch that team down the stretch, they sucked. They lost to like the 15th seed in the tournament. They lost a couple other bad games. Like, okay, so let's take a High State out of that. So just getting that bias out of here. The fact that the head of the committee that puts all this together, the very last team. Do you know who the very last team Josh was to make the tournament? The very last team, the final team to make the cut. You know who that team was?
It was my North Carolina Tar Heels.
Yeah. It wasn't the 15 loss Texas. It wasn't 14 loss. No, no, no. It was the Tar Heels who proven all year very inconsistent. We had even talked about it briefly. Like they've been very inconsistent. They have one quad one win. Let me put this in perspective for you. Indiana and West Virginia combined have more quad one wins than North Carolina, and yet neither of those teams made the tournament. And it's the first time in any bracketologists have tracked the brackets that a team who's been predicted to be in every single bracket, which is West
Like
Virginia,
111 out of 111, I think.
never got in. And you know why? It's because someone had an ego that did not want to get off his chest. He didn't
Well,
want to live with North Carolina not making the tournament again. I'm sorry, they suck. I watched Duke manhandle them. Maybe not the last game, but also that
without
was
Cooper Flag too.
yeah. So this is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying there's biased, but what I am saying is if you're going to do it, at least not make them the last team you put them in, like rank them like the 67th team or 66th team, but you're really kind of putting out the narrative that hey, I did this because it's my school when there's two schools that I'm thinking of in my head that are way more valuable and who deserve it more than a North Carolina team who, let's be honest, they would probably struggle in the Big Ten and for sure in the SEC. So that's my take. I could go on a rampage because it just annoys me how there were so many people saying that, oh, this is the year where there's going to be more parity in college basketball, and yet the teams that should be in there because of parity aren't actually in there.
Parity, 14 of 16 SEC schools, Ben. Can you imagine going 6 and 12 in conference play and somehow earning a 9 seed like I think Oklahoma, that was their
It's ridiculous.
situation,
It's
or losing
ridiculous.
15 games total and getting in like Texas did? Another thing I thought was interesting about the North Carolina point, and yeah, because of that too, AD gets a $100,000 bonus.
Oh,
But
shocker.
West Virginia, though, Ben, it was referenced Tucker DeVry's injury as a reason why West Virginia was snubbed, even with the 19 and 13 record.
Oh my God. If that's what
This
we're
sounds a
doing,
lot like Florida State in football just a couple seasons ago.
but it's not even that. Okay, let me put this to you, Josh. That's like saying when Ohio State made you remember when they made the Final Four, the championship game with Greg Oden? Greg Oden had a broken hand the whole tournament. So that's like saying, hey, Greg Oden, hey, he has a broken hand. He's not going to be 100%. We're not going to keep them where they should be because, well,
Because
they
regular
just they
season
don't
doesn't
have it.
matter.
Because to me, then what you're telling teams is, if my best player gets hurt, we're screwed. Like that's what you're telling me as a team. Like there's now that this now what this shows me is there's a limited chance for a non-power 5 to make it. It's an even smaller chance than it was before. Now you're telling me that somehow a 15 loss Texas can get in, but not a 13 loss Indiana, or not a team in the big. Why didn't more Big Ten teams make it? You see what I'm saying? Like I feel like
Hmm.
it's this it's like SEC couldn't have football, so they said, hey, why don't we try to take basketball? Right? That's what it feels like to me.
All this is doing too is setting the SEC up for like a 6 or 7 upset.
Oh,
Well,
100%.
maybe not even upset losses, but just
No,
losses in the first round and make
100%.
it look like incredibly embarrassing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, North Carolina, we mentioned they're going to be in 11. They're in the playing game with San Diego
Well,
State.
thank goodness. At least they get the playing game to lose because they're going to lose to San Diego State. I'm just saying that now.
But I only bring that up because Louisville somehow is getting punished at 27-7 being an 8 seed.
I know. I know.
And then Auburn has to play them. Like, man, they're not making the path easy for Auburn, who's
Yeah.
who we've been really high on over
Yeah.
here. Michigan won the Big Ten tournament, Ben, and I know that being a Buckeye fan, you have much disdain for that team up north, but I thought a 5 seed was incredibly disrespectful to the Big Ten
And
tournament
I'm about
champs
to
as
make it more
well.
disrespectful when we go through our picks.
Oh, I love it then. Okay, I'll save some of that for you. UConn earned an 8 seed. I thought that was interesting.
I think that's where they should be because they've
It's
struggled
it's
all
about right
year.
though. They
Yeah.
had I think 9 regular season losses. They had the one loss in the Big East, so they
They
get
struggled defensively. They couldn't stop anyone.
yeah. So I think eight's like appropriate. Another one that I was surprised by was Memphis being 29-5 and only being a 5 seed.
Yeah. And they
I know
got
they're
rigged
not.
too because they face, I believe
They got to
they
play
play
Colorado
Colorado State,
State.
who's good, who's very underrated for that team.
Yeah, it is a popular upset pick. It sounds like from what I'm
And
hearing. And
also, poor
when you look
Missouri, by
at
the way.
Missouri, yeah, let me get to them real quick before I finish this point. BPI ranks, Memphis and Colorado State are pretty close, but
Yeah.
Missouri, yeah, talk about
Dude, they got to
Missouri.
play Drake, dude. They got to face Drake. And if you have not seen Drake play, dude, Drake is a fun team to watch. They're 30-3, man. Like, I don't care who
Yeah,
you are, to win 30 games in Division One is impressive.
I certainly will have them winning a couple games. Another fun pick right here, Ben. I referenced UC San Diego last week as a team that I thought had some Cinderella potential to do some damage, and they do face that 5 Michigan team in the first round. People are talking about how Michigan's path is going to suck going through winning the Big Ten, having to travel out west on 3 days rest, then have to play a team that's incredible at forcing turnovers while also being a team that struggles to take care of the basketball at times. So it's actually if Twitter's any indication of the public, it sounds like UC San Diego over Michigan has been a popular upset pick to make so far.
Yeah.
So I feel good about myself.
I think we
saying
should
that
jump in,
before.
man. I think we should jump in, man.
We should. We're
I'm
getting a
pumped,
little
baby.
too far
I'm
ahead of
pumped, baby.
ourselves, so we will start. Um,
We're going to start in the South region, everyone. And by the way, we were using our ESPN app because both of us, one, I forgot my actual written one, and Josh didn't
Ben
fill
actually
his
did the
out.
work and
So
printed it off, and I just haven't
I,
had time.
well, I printed it off, but then it's now sitting at my desk at school. So
I went
I'm actually
from
making a whole.
reading the bracket at work last night when it dropped to getting off work, going to bed, waking up, and doing this show immediately.
Look
So
at us. Look at us.
I do have a bracket filled out though.
All right. So let's start. How about you start with the first? Let's do two and two. So you start with the first two. What are you going to go with? And then I'll repeat what I'm going to go with.
Sure. First two. No surprise. Auburn's number one overall. I've been high on them. They're not going to be the second
No.
one seed to lose. And then Louisville Creighton, like I just said, I thought it was interesting. They really screwed Louisville. I thought they should be much higher than an eight seed. I think they're worthy of anything higher than a five, honestly. But nevertheless, got to face Creighton. It's a matchup that is going to be a little tougher for them in the first round simply because of being an eight. But I'm going to put respect on Louisville. I think that they'll come out on top in this one, but might be a shorter run, unfortunately, just because of being an eight and having to go up against Auburn. And it's just a harder path in general from there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Auburn. Look, I'm extremely high on Auburn, dude. They have some of the best. They're just team plays so solid. Like they're solid across the board. I really love watching Auburn. And then actually, I think because of this route that they gave Louisville, I think this is where Louisville falls. I just think you give them this route.
No kidding.
I do like. Look, I think Louisville and Creighton are kind of like those teams where it's a team that if you put them at the 7, 6, or 5 spot, they could win 2 or 3 games. But then you play them against each other first round. I kind of went around with this. I put Louisville at one point, then Creighton. I just have this feeling like Creighton has the little extra give. I was even looking at the stats. Like I kind of looked at the stats earlier, and I look at kind of the tail of the tape. Yeah, Louisville gives up very little less points. I look at more of like what Creighton has done against the top 25. They're 3-5. Their BPI rank is higher. There's something that gives me a little bit about Creighton that just gives me a little bit more than Louisville. But again, that's just my opinion. I'm going to go Creighton here.
Yeah, Creighton does have one extra top 25 win. They got a slightly higher BPI. Like it is a tough matchup for Louisville to go in the first round. So yeah, it could go either way. But like I said, I think Louisville they'll prove that they should have been higher than an eight. But it's just going to be a shorter route for them, I think, in this bracket overall.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go to the next two. And, this is the fun one I was telling you earlier about that I didn't want to say. But
Well,
look,
do you want to, before we go to the
yeah.
next games, do you want to just say your winner between Creighton and Auburn so
Oh
we
yeah,
can at least
yeah,
have,
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
yeah,
So my
we'll
winner,
set
yeah,
okay,
yeah. For
okay.
my winner for Creighton Auburn, I'm it's gonna be Auburn. Like I think Auburn's gonna. I just even if it was Louisville, I still think Auburn is just a better team. Again, that's why they're the number one seed. Like I just think they are just different. Like I don't know what it is, man. I watch highlights of them. I watch some of the gameplays of them. I'm just like, this team's just different. Broome is really good. He's
hmm
the best player in basketball right now, and when you got the best player, it's really hard to stop you.
The one thing that I'll point out with Auburn is the end of the season. So they lost to
Yeah,
Alabama
they
on the
did. Yeah,
8th by 2, and then they lost to Tennessee just a few days ago in the SEC tournament. So it's not exactly the hottest that they could be coming in. But I think the regular season body of work speaks for itself, and I do love the fact that this roster has 10 seniors, and a lot of the top contributors are from that team last year
yeah,
that was upset as a four seed. I think that redemption's a big X factor in the tournament
yeah.
when it comes to picking some of these games. So
Very good.
I'm gonna pick Auburn over Louisville. Yeah, short route for Louisville right there. But yeah, Auburn will be in the Sweet 16 in my bracket.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
I'd love to hear your thoughts
yes.
on that Michigan UC San Diego
So,
matchup.
so this is the thing. I think Michigan, they got handed the worst thing you could have done to them. You handed them a team who's never made it to the NCAA tournament before, a team who's 30 wins, which again, I've said earlier, 30 wins in Division One, I don't care what division it is impressive in college basketball. This team is tremendous on the defensive end. We know what Michigan struggles with. That's against good defenses. They turn the ball over, they struggle. But also I look at this team in San Diego and I'm going, look, they they only give up 60 points a game. Like, I know they're not going to be the most talented. Like, they haven't faced a top 25 team. Their BPI is near 60, but it just feels like one of those games that Michigan did not want to face because you have all the nation with San Diego. Like, the whole nation is behind UC San Diego. Like, the whole
Mhm.
nation is like saying, and again, it's not that I think Michigan is not a good team. They barely beat like Wisconsin and them. That game was just ugly. It wasn't even that. I don't felt like it was that good. Michigan at times has looked really bad. At times they've looked good. It's a very interesting team. And I'm just going to give it to San Diego, UC San Diego here. I'm going to take UC San Diego here for this win. And then, you know what? I said, you know what? Why not just mess up my bracket already? So I'm taking Yale to beat Texas A&M because Yale and being those smarties that they are, they've made the NCAA tournament twice now, and there's just something about seeing a Yale versus UC San Diego matchup that just grinds my gears. I love it.
Hey, I won't add anything else to the Michigan point because I think you nailed it too. It's a tough matchup for the Wolverines for sure, and all that extra motivation on UC San Diego being a first time members to the dance. I think it's going to be a Michigan's going to have their hands full, and like I was saying already, I've been higher on UC San Diego. It was a team that I saw potentially able to do some damage going into this tournament. But yeah, I'm also gonna go with Yale as well.
Did Josh and I just pull out the same kind of hat here? I love it.
We did. And it's not really, I don't know if I can really point to much that I like on Yale's
Texas A&M's
side. They
not that
haven't
good. I don't think they're that good.
that's mostly what it is. I was saying there's 14 SEC schools and I don't believe the SEC was that good that they should have 14 teams in. And as a result, some of those teams they're gonna have a lot of teams lose in the first round, I think. And I'm just having
Or we both could be
Texas
wrong
A&M
and all
being one of those
14 win.
teams. If all 14 win in the first round, that'd be insane. But yeah, yeah, Texas A&M's one of those teams that's been up and down. They got some decent wins. They've beaten Texas Tech, they've beaten Purdue, they've been able to beat Auburn this season. They've lost to Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, but it is a loaded conference, so you're gonna have like some losses to some of the big dogs. But yeah, I think just in the spirit of SEC is gonna have a lot of first round losses, I think, and Yale uh, being at least a decent 13. I'm already getting on the upset train, and I got a Yale versus UC San
I love it.
Diego
And
matchup
you know
in
who
the
I
round of
got?
32.
You know who I got winning that? UC San Diego.
Me
UC San
too.
Diego, their first trip to the tournament, and they go to the Sweet
Sweet
16. I'm loving
16.
it.
I got same
Loving it.
thing. Let's go, man. All right.
Next two. Here we go.
Yes. We got Ole Miss playing either San Diego State or North Carolina.
No, no. Let's just say now it'll be San Diego State. Let's just clarify that now. It's just gonna be San Diego State.
Well, at least in the way that I filled my bracket out, I don't think it really matters if it's North Carolina or San Diego State. I'm picking them to beat Ole Miss. It's just another one of those
I'm
things where
sorry.
it's just another one of those things where it's like this is going to be another SEC team that I think that falls. And if it's North Carolina that somehow wins and is facing Ole Miss, it's going to be like that one time where it's like they got to prove that they at least belonged. They'll have maybe some of that motivation. Then San Diego State's a team that we've seen come to the tournament before and make some noise. They were in the Final Four, I believe, not too long ago. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like I don't really believe in Ole Miss that much, and I think one of these underdog teams that they're facing is going to give them some at least make their hands full. So
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go Old Miss here. I just don't, especially if it's North Carolina. I don't think they beat Ole Miss. If it's San Diego State, I can kind of give it to you, but again, I'm just gonna stick with. I don't know what's gonna happen between that first game, so I'm gonna stick with Old Miss here.
okay, we got Iowa State and Lipscomb, and I've been super high on Iowa State in the past before, Ben, when they've had some really good
Yep.
regular seasons, only to be let down. It's
Every
like
time you've
Arizona.
done that.
It's one of those things, man. It's like Virginia. I know they got a national champion, but anytime I pick them to go far, it seems like they disappoint me. Arizona, one of those teams, and Iowa State seems to be one of those teams for me too when I get high on them. But I'm not going to have them go very far, even being a three. But I will at least pick them to get it done here against 14 Lipscomb.
What about Iowa State versus San Diego State or North Carolina?
I will go with either San Diego State or North Carolina in
Oh
this one, and
man.
that's mostly to protect me from being tempted to pick Iowa State to go any
So at
further.
least saves you some points there.
It does. I don't want to end up with Iowa State in the Elite Eight or the Final Four when I don't think that they're that caliber, and it's not necessarily that I think San Diego State and North Carolina will, although it would be crazy if they did make it. But I'm just trying to protect myself from putting a team farther than what they should be, more than
I,
anything.
I get it. I have Iowa State winning that matchup versus Ole Miss. I'm going to stick with the better team. Now the next two.
These were tough, actually.
This is where it gets interesting for me. I have New Mexico beating Marquette. I think what Petonio's doing down there, um, they got. I feel terrible because they shouldn't have lost their championship game, but they did. Which I think they would have been a higher seed. I think they would have been maybe a 6 or maybe even a 5. Um, but yeah, New Mexico. I don't believe in Marquette. I've watched them. I even looked at their stats. I watched them. I'm like I just don't. I think New Mexico's the better team. So I'm going to take New Mexico. They have a really good presence inside as well. They're very old school in the sense of how they play. I'm going to go New Mexico, and then I have Michigan State being Bryant. Um, yeah, but then it gets interesting after that.
Yes, so seven seeds have won, per the ESPN Tournament Challenge app. Seven seeds have won 61% of the meetings against tens. Uh, but in the past 3 years, seven seeds have won 9 out of the 12 meetings. This is a tough one for me, Ben, because I think Marquette should be higher than a seven, but I really respect New Mexico at 10 too. Uh, and I think Marquette is going to kind of get screwed by some of the seeding right here, and I am going New Mexico to win this one. Uh, Michigan State, really a bounce back year for them. We haven't seen the Spartans be this high. They were one of those teams last year that finished with 14 losses. We were
Yeah,
like,
they
what the heck
made
are they
it.
doing
Yeah,
in the
yeah
tournament? And they
slipped
got
in.
in, but
Yeah,
this time I think fully deserving of that two spot with the body of work they got going 27-6. They'll get it done against Bryant, and I think they will go ahead and get it done against New Mexico too. Welcome back, Tom Izzo, to the
they
Sweet
will. They
16.
will not. They will
They will
not.
not, huh? New Mexico?
I have, dude. This part of the bracket for me is just jacked up. But I'm gonna
I did have to
go.
think. I did have to think about it.
Yeah, no, I just think New Mexico, man, it's one the story, man. Like it's just the story of what's going on with them. It'd be cool to see maybe the Final Four matchup between, uh, father and son or championship match or whatever it would be. But no, for me, I just think Michigan State, they're my team. You know how you said Arizona's your team and all that,
Hmm.
dude. Michigan State's my team. Every time I pick them to go past like the freaking Sweet 16, they lose in like the second round, and it destroys me. So I said, you know what? I'll take the risk. We'll go with New Mexico, and maybe will happen good. We'll see.
Yeah. This group, Ben, I mean, I had initially Marquette being the Sweet 16 out of here, and now I don't even have them like getting out of the first round. I played around with a lot of these results. It
Yeah,
was hard.
yeah,
So we got a Sweet 16 now in this South region that we can
yeah,
go over.
yeah. We can do that. Yeah,
So hang on.
just scroll over. That's how I did it.
I know my fat fingers though bumped a couple of the games,
Well,
so I gotta
because
touch them all real quick again.
oh my goodness, with those fat fingers of
Yeah.
yours. All
Okay.
right, so the matchups
Scrolling
are.
back over, we have
Oh,
for
actually,
me
yeah, round two. Never mind.
Auburn and UC San Diego, which I think that's what you got, right?
Yeah, yeah, yep.
And then for me, either San Diego State or North Carolina versus Michigan State.
I have Iowa State versus New Mexico.
All right. Well, we'll go with the matchup that we are unanimous on. Uh, this is where the run for UC San Diego
I agree.
unfortunately comes to an
I
end. It's
100% agree.
I would love to throw them in the lead eight, but
I'm not
man,
that stupid. I'm not
yeah,
that dumb.
yeah, I'm not gonna go that high. Auburn, some of the kings
You
of my
watch this
bracket.
now. You mark this now. We both said that, and you watch what's going to happen. You watch
Yeah, they
this.
can they can add that clip to the UC San Diego hype tape when they face
Oh
Michigan
man.
State in the lead eight or something.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, this is where the run comes to an end for me. Auburn's just going to be too tough. I mean, Auburn's really shaken up for a nice draw so far, playing a
I
16
know.
seed. They will have a tough, I think, game between Louisville or Creighton, no matter who it is.
Yeah.
Then they get to face a 12 seed. So on to the lead eight for the Tigers. But for me, at least, I know Michigan State's that team that you don't like picking to go any
No,
further.
I
I
don't.
got them. I got them going to the lead eight, beating either San Diego State or North Carolina. This is when that run for either of those teams comes to an end. It's going to be tough for them to even get that far just with the draw that they got and having to do the play-in game. But we'll have a 1 and 2 at least in this quadrant for me between Auburn and Michigan State.
Yeah, between Iowa State and New Mexico, obviously I go Story here, right? No, I don't. I'm not that stupid.
Hmm.
Look, I was very tempted to do Mexico here because in this matchup versus Iowa State, I was thinking this is actually the best case scenario for New Mexico. I think you get a team who I think is very beatable, but I don't know if they have the endurance to make it that far. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, but I was very close to picking New Mexico, like within a couple seconds. But I went ahead and chose Iowa State here to advance to the Elite Eight.
All right, so one more matchup before the Final Four. Who is the Final Four team getting out of this region for you, Ben?
It is Auburn for me.
The Auburn Tigers for me too.
I just can't see them losing to Iowa State or Michigan State or whoever the other team is. I just think once they get past that Louisville game, I think they run right through everyone else.
Yeah, I think it could be smooth sailing for them too. So yes, Auburn, first team out of the Final Four or into the Final Four. There we go. Moving on now to the West region.
Yes.
This one has a lot of tough ones for me too, just
Not
as
too
far
many
as
for me, I think. I have two upsets in this one. Two
okay.
upsets.
Well, a lot of people love Florida, Ben. I got them winning over Norfolk State. I don't think I'm gonna have them going as far as what a lot of other people do, though. I'll just go ahead and tease that right now.
Yeah, I also have Florida winning. Yeah, I just think it's good. They also have a 7'9" guy who doesn't even have to freaking. But he's not playing this year because he's redshirting. But he doesn't even have to get on a ladder to cut the net. That just made me feel. By the way, they have the
It's
tallest
incredible.
guy.
The height on Florida is absolutely
So they have
insane.
a 7'9" guy, and then the shortest guy I believe is on Old Miss, and he's 5'4". So just put that in perspective.
Yeah. So that takes us to the 8-9 UConn versus Oklahoma, and
Easy,
easy pick for UConn for me.
easy, because Oklahoma did not
UConn,
deserve to be in the tournament. So
both of them got 5 wins over top 25 teams, but UConn far exceeds them in BPI. Also went 14-6 in their conference, while Oklahoma went 6 and
oh, that's
12.
so
I'm picking the
gross.
Huskies.
That's
The
so
two
gross.
the two-time defending champs will survive their first round matchup
I agree
against the
with you.
Sooners.
Yeah, UConn. Yeah, it's not even gonna be close. I think this could be a 20-point win. 100%. I think it 100% could be a 20
They
point
they
win.
do overmatch the Sooners here. This
Yeah.
shouldn't be an 8-9 game. Now, Florida and UConn.
Yeah. That's the interesting game.
It is.
I'm interested to hear what you have to say as I take away Fafa's antler. So speak.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know what to make of either team. Florida obviously has been dominant this conference, but UConn is just like it's hard for me to pick them not to really go very far after winning 2 titles, and I know a lot of the talent from the teams in the past isn't there
Yeah.
anymore, but Dan Hurley's still here. His weirdo self and his coaching. And I think I'm going to go ahead and give UConn the edge simply for coaching. I think they can at least make the Sweet 16, Ben. I'm going to go ahead and give the edge here to the Huskies. They're going to come up with really one of the first, I mean, this is going to be the first one to go down for me. So it's in a way one of the first major upsets of the bracket for me, even though I got like that 12 and 13 in the South. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a gut feeling. I don't really have much numbers to point to other than just I think UConn will make the Sweet 16 at least, but
No,
it might not go much
I
further than that.
100% agree with you. I have UConn winning this. I don't. If there's one team that can kind of match the length of Florida, because Florida has like 4 7-footers, I think it is UConn. I think UConn has that ability to kind of match and the way they play, the way they stretch teams. And again, Florida just in the last about 8 9 years has just not been a team that consistently wins deep in the tournament. And I kind of go with the team. Hey, you won 2 in a row, so I'm going to go with it.
Yeah, yeah, Florida, they really are like up and down year to year. They'll have like a year where they're freaking dominant like this. They've been the number one overall in the past, but yeah. So UConn. So next couple games here, we got Memphis and Colorado State, and like we were teasing earlier, Memphis probably should have been higher than a 5. Getting Colorado State, even at 12 is not an easy matchup for the Tigers in
No,
this
it's
one.
not.
But I believe enough in Memphis that they can go ahead and get this done. Uh, like I was saying earlier, looking at BPI, uh, looking at the way that they matched up there, it's pretty even. Memphis a little more battle tested, 3-1 versus the top 25. Colorado State lost their only top 25 matchup this year. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead with the Tigers here. Although number five seeds have won 64% of meetings between 12. At least one 12 seed has defeated a 5 seed in 33 of 39 tournaments since 1985.
Yeah, this is where I'm going to go. Colorado State here. I like Colorado State a lot. I know there are a lot of people that do like Colorado State. I think Memphis is another one of those teams that they just kind of got gypped with their matchup because I think they could beat a lot of teams, but I think Colorado State. I kind of look again. I feel like they're kind of even, so this is almost like a coin flip for me. It almost feels like a 7-10 matchup more than it does a 5-12. But I'm going to go Colorado State here, and then turn that around. I almost went Grand Canyon. I almost had back-to-back parts of the bracket that went 12-13,
Mm.
12-13. But I decided Maryland has shown me a little bit more than most teams. So I decided to go with Maryland because I think Grand Canyon is still, I think, not quite there as some of these other non-power teams. So that's why I decided to go Maryland.
Well, I actually went ahead and rolled with Grand Canyon in this one.
So we just flip-flopped. That's what we did.
We did. And Maryland does kind of overpower them when you run through all the metrics, but there's just like a gut feeling with Grand Canyon. I don't know, Ben. I The debate about whether or not God cares about sports and all that is, always brought up, but I know that in the football tournament, at least, Notre Dame and Ohio State, faith was a big deal. And I've already seen a clip from Grand Canyon of somebody praying over their Bible on the bench. I can't remember which game it was, but give me at least one Grand Canyon win
Yeah,
simply
it's
for
yeah,
that.
and it's
The
yeah, and
story.
I was very tempted. And you'll see there's another Christian university. If you know who I'm talking about, then you'll know already. Who I have winning at least a game, and I do like just because I've seen it with Ohio State, man. Like there's just something about it, man. I think there is something there. So yeah, I get that for sure. And in that matchup, so
Colorado State
obviously,
and Maryland for
and
you.
obviously, yeah, mine's like flipped than yours. I have Maryland winning it. I don't think Colorado State. I just don't think they're going to win two in a row. And I'd be the same way, the vice versa. So I'm going to go Maryland to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue to pick Memphis to win games here. Like I said, the Colorado State matchup will be tough, but they get past that, then they got to face a 13. Like you can't complain too much about having to play a 12 and then a 13 if you're Memphis. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna go ahead and continue to pick Memphis. They're gonna have a pretty nice path drawn up for them as it looks in my bracket.
yeah.
So
Uh,
Memphis moves on.
and then this is my favorite game of this whole part of the bracket, Josh,
All right.
because I think a lot of people are underestimating Drake, and I think a lot of people are really high on Missouri for some reason, because I don't think they're another team kind of like Oklahoma. Like, why are they that high? Or vice versa, why, they could be a team that I think could get beat by a lot of teams. And I love Drake, man. Like you look at what Drake's done this year, they're averaging a lot of points a game, right? Not a lot, 70 points, but the difference is they only give up 58 points a game.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge thing. Obviously, Missouri adds a lot of points a game, but they were 10-8 in conference. Look, I know the conferences don't mean much, but when you're 17-3 in your conference, it shows a lot. I'm going to go Drake here. I think it's going to be a tight game, but I just think Drake pulls it out at the end. And then vice versa I think Texas Tech beats UNC Wilmington. I don't think it's going to be close. So those are my two matchups there.
Yeah, Missouri is one of those teams where the overall record isn't super impressive, but they got some solid top end wins. Like they've beaten Florida, they've beaten
After
Alabama
being
this year.
terrible last year, like atrocious last
Yeah,
year.
and the 84 points a game is a pretty explosive offense. But I actually got Drake as an upset in this one too. I think that a lot of people are overlooking. Anytime you win 30 games in men's college basketball, regardless of conference, it is
And they're
tough to
veteran.
do.
And most of these non Power Five guy teams are veteran teams. They have
Hmm.
guys with a lot of experience.
Yeah, man, I'm looking through my bracket trying to look at The SEC is not doing so hot for me, and it's not
No, they're
like
not.
it's not on purpose. It's just
No.
like I
Yeah.
don't think that you should have gotten this many. But yeah, Drake with the upset over Missouri over here for me.
And what about Texas Tech? Do you have them winning?
I do. Yeah, I like Texas Tech over UC Wilmington. I think that the Red Raiders will go ahead and get things taken care of over there. Running through the BPI is actually insanely. It's crazy. Like Texas Tech's 8, UC Wilmington's 111. But Uh, one thing to point out though, Texas Tech was not great in their top 25 matchup this year, just 1-4. So if there was a three that you would be worried about losing in the first round, out of them, Iowa State, Wisconsin, and Kentucky, I think that Texas Tech is probably the most vulnerable.
I love how you say the most vulnerable because that would mean that I don't think they're going to make it very far, but I have them beating Drake. And after I was hyping up
Okay.
Drake for like the last freaking 20 minutes, I just think Texas, I think Drake is a team that I think the difference between Missouri and Texas Tech is I think that Texas Tech gives you a lot more wide range of a team. And I think Drake seems like one of those teams that's like really good, but maybe when they face a team that a little bit more deep, maybe a little more strength wise, I don't know. But for me, Texas Tech barely escapes by Drake and makes it the Sweet 16.
All right. Well, whether it's Texas Tech or UC Wilmington pulls off the upset, I do have Drake still dancing going on to the
There
Sweet
you go.
16.
There we
Yeah.
go.
So far over here, we've got now, um, you and I got UConn, right?
Yep.
I got UConn facing Memphis. Memphis is good. This is where UConn's run is going to come to an
Well, hold
end
on.
for
We
me.
got one game left though. We got one game left before
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The
we got
two.
one game left.
We got St. John's and Arkansas. Or wait,
And Kansas, Arkansas, St. John's,
yeah,
Omaha.
that's my fault. I jumped the gun there. That's right. Okay.
How dare you?
Well, this is my opportunity to give Arkansas some and the SEC some love. I think Kansas has been underwhelming most of this season, and Arkansas really doesn't have that impressive of a record. But we've seen them get up for big games like that game against Kentucky, and we know Calipari's got experience at this level, but Bill Self at Kansas does as well. This is going to be a crazy chess match as far as coaching goes. I'm excited for this 7-10 matchup specifically, but I think Arkansas will get up and put some respect on the SEC or earn a little bit more respect for the SEC. Pull off a solid win here for the Razorbacks.
I would have gone with you, but I just think can Arkansas just been kind of weird. Like they've been good at
They are
times and
like they
bad.
probably should be better than what their
Yeah.
record shows, given all the talent that they were able to acquire just in year
Yeah.
one.
I'm gonna say Kansas squeaks by here and they get the 7-10 win here.
All right. And that takes us to St.
Oh, I love
John's,
St.
Omaha.
John's. Oh, I love St. John's.
A lot of people are picking St. John's to go either Final Four or win it all. They're a popular pick, and when you look at clips like that one of Rick Pitino in the locker room,
Good.
it's
Yeah.
hard to go against that. So
Yeah.
easy pick for me, St. John's.
Yeah, St. John's easy for me. And I have them beating Kansas by like 10.
I
So,
got them beating Arkansas as well.
yeah.
Whether it's Arkansas or Kansas, like that matchup alone is fun, but I don't think either team is going to make it
Yeah.
farther than just that one game. All right, so now we can talk Sweet 16 here, which in that one game, like I was saying, it's UConn versus Memphis for me, and for you, it's
UConn versus Maryland.
okay. This is where UConn's run comes to an end for me. I think getting this far is quite a statement for the Huskies, having to go through and beat Florida to get here. But like I was saying, Memphis, I'm pretty high on them. I think that this is pretty easy path for a 5 seed too, as it gets. You got to play a 12, then you got to play a 13, and then you play a 8. Like you can't be too upset about that. It's drawing up real nice for the Tigers in my bracket. But yeah, Memphis Tigers here.
I have UConn beating Maryland. This is what, like I said earlier, Maryland, I'm not
Okay.
truly trustful here. But again, I think if you're UConn, this is the best matchup you can get. If you can get Maryland in this matchup, I just think they're better than Maryland. Even as an 8 seed, I just think they're better than Maryland. So I'm going to go UConn here. Beats them, I would say, pretty handily as well.
All right. Well, and the other one for me, it's St. John's versus Drake, and yeah, I am also pretty high on St. John's, taking them to go ahead and end the run here for Drake, make it to that Elite Eight matchup.
Yeah, I have them beating Texas Tech. I think it's going to be a little bit of a closer game, but I think dude, St. John's, just the way that Patino has him playing there, I love watching them, and I think it's such a cool story and what he's been able to do there. And now he's got the sixth team he's brought to the NCAA tournament, which is the most ever. I
It's
just, it's
crazy.
really, really awesome to see. And especially after he was like just basically thrown out to the garbage and kind of
Yeah,
told
his coaching
leave.
career was over, man.
Yeah,
He was
said
coaching at
leave.
Iona.
Yeah. And he turned Iona around. He then decided, you know what, I'm going to keep on going. And like he could have probably went to other jobs, but he's going to the jobs that are maybe not as in the spotlight as some would say.
So St. John's reached the Final Four, Ben.
100%, yes, they are. I think they will beat UConn. I think UConn. This is the thing. I think UConn could beat St. John's, but I don't think they're as deep as they were last year. I don't think they're as good as they were last year. So this is where I think they come to the end. Congrats, you make it to the Elite Eight after winning two in a row. But I think St. John's is just a team that you get to the Final Four for sure.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and point it out. During the regular season, since these are conference opponents, Big East, St. John's did defeat UConn back in February, 68 to 62. Uh, Twice actually. The second matchup was later in February, and they won that one 89 to 75. So it's somebody that they're familiar with, somebody that they've been able to take care of business with against both times. So far, Ben, we got Auburn and St. John's in the Final
I
Four.
love
We're in
it, and we won't
agreement.
say it. We won't say it yet. We'll wait to the end. But if we go back here to what's the next one? I believe we're in
We
the
got the
East.
we're in the
Yes,
East now.
East. Yes. I can start with this one. So we have Duke versus America or Mount St. Mary's, I think it is. American, I should say. Fun fact, a former point guard at Cedarville University went to American. Justice Montgomery was there for two
Justice
years
Montgomery, baby.
before he went to Cedarville. Um, Also, like the smallest guy I've ever seen dunk, by the way. It's fascinating. Um, Duke is going to run over whoever they play by like 70. So I'm going to say Duke wins here pretty easily. And then I got Mississippi State because I don't think Baylor should be in the tournament. So that's my reasoning. That's my only reasoning. There's nothing else
Yeah,
to go with that.
I got Duke and Mississippi State here too. Baylor shouldn't be here. I don't know why they're a 14 loss team at a 9
And
seed,
why are
and
they even a
Duke.
9 seed? Like, give them an 11 seed at least.
Yeah, put them down, man. And then yeah, Duke. They had an argument, I think, to be number one overall too. They will have Cooper Flag playing
And
in
you
the
know why they
tournament.
didn't get number one overall is because Cooper Flag got hurt. You know that's why.
It's one of them. But I mean, Auburn's definitely got a great case to be number one overall too. But yeah, we got a Duke Mississippi State matchup, both of us, Ben, and I got Duke dancing to the Sweet 16. This-
Well, okay, we'll go ahead and say it. Yeah, I forgot to, we got to say that one too. So yes, I have Duke going to the Sweet 16. Um,
yeah.
I was talking about Christian universities previously, right, Josh?
Yes.
I believe Liberty is going to beat Oregon. They have to get redemption. I believe was it 2 years ago where they had to play Oregon in the playoff? Did they face Oregon in the playoff? No, they didn't. Anyways, I'm thinking of football, but anyways, they faced a
Hmm.
really good team, like a top opponent, and got destroyed. Um,
Yeah.
but also, I am a little biased with Liberty because Mogmer, who played at Cedarville for 4 years, transferred to Liberty this year. He's playing there. Liberty's former assistant coach is now the head coach at Cedarville. There's a former player at Cedarville that's all a coach at Liberty. So I feel like I have a lot of, reasoning to behind Liberty, especially since Ohio State sucks and they're not in the tournament.
Mhm.
So I'm going to say Liberty upsets Oregon here. They're very good at the 3-point game, and that's one thing that I think a lot of teams struggle to defend in the tournament is a team that could shoot threes really well. So I'm going to go Liberty here, and then I'm going against what you would say, right? You say don't choose Arizona, but I'm going to choose Arizona to beat Akron because, well, it's Akron, and I don't think they're going to be any good in the tournament. So I'm going to say Liberty versus Arizona in the round of 32.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to add to what you said. I got the same results. I got Liberty going ahead and winning. I think Oregon's been shaky at times, and I think Liberty coming in off of their conference tournament win definitely has some momentum. And then, yeah, usually I wouldn't pick Arizona to win many games, but they got a 9 versus like a 113 BPI over
I know,
here.
I know.
It's pretty overwhelming. So I will go ahead and go against my better judgment and take the Wildcats, who are 6-5 in top 25 play this year. So that sets up Arizona versus Liberty in this round of
And who do you
32,
got?
Ben. I am also taking Arizona again in
You're
this
going
one,
against your
but
judgment. No, I agree with
I
you.
am going against my judgment.
I don't think Liberty can beat big teams or I mean big teams like top tier teams. I don't think they can. So I think this is where they also end and Arizona wins.
Yeah. All right. Next chunk of games here. We got BYU versus VCU.
This game was so stupid hard to pick. I
It
flipped
really
so many times,
was.
dude. I flipped
Yeah.
a coin so many times, and I landed on BYU because honestly, I was getting tired of getting mad about it. So I went BYU because I know that they're landing the number one recruit next year. So I figured, hey, they must be good. So I'm going to go BYU, and I probably could go VCU. Either one, I'm just going to go BYU. You know, the
Yeah.
Mormons for the win. That's what I'm going to go with.
This one was one that I went back and forth on a lot too, but ultimately ended up on VCU. Just
Because you like to
like
be
you're saying,
different.
coin flip. It'll be different. I mean, VCU is also, I know like teams change every year, but they got like a nice history in the tournament, I feel like.
Is it because we're old, Josh, now? Because I feel like every time we mention this, I get someone that's like, 20 years old, like, I don't remember that. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
well,
you don't remember the Shaka Smart VCU
dude, you
teams.
don't remember the freaking Mo Alley Cox who's now playing the NFL. Like, no one remembers those
Yeah.
days.
Nope.
And then the second one is Wisconsin versus Montana. I don't think Wisconsin's a 3 seed. Like, just personally,
No.
I don't think they should be, but I also think they're better than Montana. So I'm going to take Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin at three, I was surprised they were able to get that high of a seed. I think they are a solid squad. I don't think that they're super elite by any means. You can look at the per game averages, points scored and points allowed, and it's pretty comparable to Montana, but the BPI is just incredibly widespread. 18 at Wisconsin, 173 against Montana. I'll go ahead and take the Badgers, another team like VCU that seems to do solid in the tournament most
Yeah,
years.
and I'm gonna take Wisconsin over BYU. I just think Big Ten team has faced a lot of really good teams. I think they're just gonna be a little bit more equipped. I think it's the best matchup you could have. I think it's against maybe some of these other 6 seeds. I don't think they would win, but I think this is a good matchup for them, and I think they're gonna win.
Wisconsin over VCU for me as well. Yeah, it was kind of the same thought. Wisconsin will go ahead and get to the Sweet 16. I think you can mostly count on Wisconsin to do that most seasons or feel confident about that
Yeah,
pick. But yeah, battle tested.
and
They'll get
then
it done here.
and then the next two we have SEC teams involved, which means obviously one of us is going to choose them to lose.
Mm.
Um, So we have St. Mary's, who I feel like is in there just as much as Gonzaga, to be honest with you. They're always there.
Yeah,
Versus Vanderbilt. Yeah,
they're
versus
pretty much on
Vanderbilt.
Gonzaga's level.
I've been at Vanderbilt's court, one of the weirdest courts you'll ever be to. Like it's like the ends are where the coaches sit. It's weird. And then you have Alabama versus Robert Morris. Such a weird name for a school, but um, I have St. Mary's winning because I feel like every time I've chosen against either Gonzaga or St. Mary's, I always get screwed over. So we're gonna go with St. Mary's, and also I think Alabama's just better than Robert Morris, so we're gonna go Alabama.
Yeah, St. Mary's, I think that they're basically at that Gonzaga level. Like Gonzaga's got more of a history. They seem to bring in bigger recruits, but St. Mary's is in the same conference, I believe, and
Yeah,
also
they are.
just is
Yeah,
starting to have the same level of like
consistency.
consistency. Yep. They're a team that you can count on to come in, and I will go ahead and take them over Vanderbilt. And I'll also take Alabama. I believe the number one offense in the country, led by Mark Sears. I love that guy. To go ahead and take care of business against Robert Morris,
Yeah, and then I have Alabama beating St. Mary's pretty handily, moving on to the Sweet 16.
as do I.
So
Yeah,
the Sweet
Alabama's gonna
16,
cook.
yes, so Sweet 16, we have Duke versus Arizona. We have Wisconsin versus Alabama.
Oh,
Um,
we got the same
yeah,
matchups.
for the same matchups. So I think this is easy for me. I have Duke versus Alabama in the Elite Eight. That's just pretty easy to me.
Yeah, Arizona. This isn't the strongest Arizona team I've seen in the tournament, which is crazy that I actually got them even reaching this far, given the history.
It's a
But I
new
think
thing for you. Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like they got a favorable draw. Like the Wildcats got to get it done, man. They
Yeah.
got to get it done. But yeah, Duke's just one of those teams that's like I was saying, dominant all season long. They'll get it done against the Wildcats. I think Cooper Flagg's going to become a household name. I mean, he already is a household name, but he's going to really come out in this one and make himself look really freaking good for the NBA.
Yeah.
Alabama versus Wisconsin. Uh, I'm going Alabama too. I feel really good about Alabama. Wisconsin, yeah, they're a little high at three, I think, and this is where their run will end.
Yeah. And I have Duke beating Alabama and heading to the Final Four. I just think Duke is a better team, I think, overall. I mean, I think they're close, but I do think I give Duke, with Cooper Flag healthy, I give Duke the edge.
Yeah, it's a tough one. This is where maybe defense could come into play because Duke allows just 61 points a game. And Alabama, like I was just saying, I think the number one offense, they score over 90 a game. Uh, BPI wise, Duke's one, Alabama's six. It's very close. But I'm gonna lean I think Alabama's a slightly more experienced squad and take them to win this matchup. It's gonna be close though.
Yeah, it's going to be really tight. And now we have our final section of the bracket, and that is the Midwest,
Midwest.
which means Ohio games. So there might be some games happening near us here or near
There
you in
are.
Ohio.
I think Cleveland is hosting a few
Yeah.
of them.
So the first matchup we have Houston versus SUI or Southern Illinois University Evans or Evansville, whatever. I don't know what it is. Anyways, Houston's going to win this by a mile and like a half. I don't think Houston's as good as people say. I think they're a borderline two, but I still think they're going to do enough to get by here. And then I can't go against Gonzaga first round, and also I don't think Georgia's that good. So I'm going to go Gonzaga here first round. It'd be Houston versus Gonzaga.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing as you. Houston most seasons comes in with a strong defense, a strong regular season record, and it just doesn't ever seem to amount to much in the tournament. But I am going Houston. They're not going to be another one to lose. And then Gonzaga versus Georgia. Yeah, I think Georgia being at nine here is a little high for them. Uh, Leaning with the team that is in the tournament more consistently with Gonzaga, but I will go ahead and take Houston and get over Gonzaga
Yeah,
to
I
reach
will
Sweet
as well.
16.
Which I think snaps a streak for Gonzaga. I think they've been like a bunch of Sweet 16s in a row. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna go Houston. I just think that they're gonna be the better team. And then comes two games where I think, especially the first one in McNeese, their coach Wade has done a great job with McNeese. But I am super high on Clemson. You know that I've said that Clemson a few times over the last few months. They're just sneaky good. They have a lot of veterans. They have a ton of seniors. I think they have like four seniors or something like that. In like the starting or at least the most of the playing group. So I have Clemson beating McNeese State by probably a good margin. Even though I do like McNeese State, I think they just got sucky, and that's the matchup they had. I think if they're any other spot, 11 or 12, I think they better fit. And then I have Purdue kind of rebounding from the last few years where they've struggled, and I'm going to got Purdue beating High Point.
Yeah, Clemson's one of those teams that I've talked about kind of here and there throughout the year as a team that uh, when they were initially unranked, like, hey, these guys are actually pretty good, and now they're here as a five, and I think could have had a case for being a little higher. The ACC didn't get a whole lot of respect as far as the rankings go, but I do like Clemson. I think they shoot well. I think they got some good veteran leadership. They'll go ahead and get this done against McNeese. And Purdue, kind of like the same thing with you. I flip-flop with this one because Purdue's been prone to be one of those upset teams that get upset in the first round too. But maybe the Boilermakers will get a little bit of
Yeah,
redemption here. Uh, Redemption's funny to say when you're a 4 versus
I
13,
know.
but yeah, Purdue will get it done. I think in this first matchup, setting up against Clemson 4 versus 5.
Yeah, and I have Clemson beating Purdue. I think Clemson's just a better team. I think they're more solid, and yeah, I have them beating Purdue in this matchup.
Yeah. I got Clemson too. Moving on. I really like the Tigers to do some damage this
And what
tournament.
about and what about you in the next two games? What do you got?
Um,
Illinois versus blah blah blah.
Illinois versus Texas or Xavier. Yeah. So,
Texas shouldn't be here, so we can cross them out.
yeah, I think Xavier will win that game, and I think they will also go ahead and beat the
Oh,
Fighting Illini too.
ooh,
It's a gut
it's a
thing.
gut feeling.
Yeah, yeah, the Big Ten should do better in the tournament than what they do most years, but not that like Illinois, I got anything against them. I'm just kind of picking them to be one of those teams that just doesn't seem to live up to the hype from that conference.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Illinois, but I wouldn't be shocked if they get upset. So I'm gonna go Illinois though, but barely.
Hmm. Kentucky versus Troy. I like the Wildcats.
Same.
Yeah, Kentucky 22 and 11. I really don't know how they lost 11
But
games.
also how they get a 3 seed with 11 losses besides me.
Yeah. Like they've beaten Duke, they've beaten Tennessee both times this year, but then you look and it's like, okay, well, they lost to Alabama both times. They struggled against
Wait,
Auburn when they
question:
lost to
how did
them,
they get 3 seed with 11 losses, and Louisville got had like 7 losses and got like
and
a
they got an
freaking 8
8.
seed?
Exactly. It's that conference
What?
bias, I'm telling you.
They're not 5 rankings between them.
Yeah. I think though, if you wanted to make the argument that Kentucky's maybe better than what their record shows, I think you could make that just because, I mean, you got to play Tennessee twice, you got to play Alabama twice, and you're playing Duke out of conference and stuff. It's like, okay, maybe Kentucky is one of those teams that's just like, yeah, they had a hard schedule and that's why they got a little more losses. But
Yeah.
of course, I'm going to say all that, and then Troy's going to kill them in the first round.
Yeah, I know. That's the way it works. But then I do have Kentucky beating Illinois in the next round to go to the Sweet 16.
And for me, it'd be Xavier. So yeah, Kentucky will be
Yeah.
dancing in the Sweet 16, I think.
And you know how you're talking about the Big Ten struggling? Well, I have the newcomer to the Big Ten getting owned by Utah State. Um, I just, I just don't. UCLA does not impress me. I saw them play against Ohio State. Ohio State kind of beat them around the first game, and if Ohio State's beating you around, they have no inside presence, so that's a problem. And I'm going to go Utah State here. And then I love Tennessee, so I'm going to go Tennessee. I really like Tennessee. They're going to go and beat Watford here or Wofford.
Yeah, Tennessee, super strong. They're gonna get it done against Wofford, I think too. But yeah, UCLA and Utah State, I flopped around that one too. Probably uh one of the games I just spent the most time trying to think. It's like, Josh, it's a first round matchup, and I just decided to lean upset with Utah
Yeah,
State.
yeah, and then I have Tennessee beating Utah State by like 30.
Me too.
Our Sweet 16 then is Houston versus Clemson, Kentucky versus Tennessee for me.
Another
Cool.
one that we are
Yeah.
spot on with.
Yes.
The whole yeah, that whole bottom of the bracket where we got the same 8 teams.
Look at us. We're so good at this now.
Hmm. All right. Well, this might be where we defer because I'm picking Clemson to end Houston's run right here. This is about as far as I think Houston will get until they can show me something different. I'm never going to pick them to go very far. Just a really solid regular season team. Would like to see a little bit more out of them in the tournament. Uh, and Clemson, like I said, I really like these guys. A team that, uh, like I was saying, I love leadership in the tournament, the experience from seniors, and they can shoot really well. Go ahead and take them to win.
I also take Clemson to win. So
Okay.
yeah, I really like Clemson. I just don't trust Houston. So Houston, we have a problem, is truly what I think. Um, so yeah, Clemson
Yeah.
there, and then the second game. This is a great matchup: Kentucky versus
Oh
Tennessee.
yeah.
Like that rivalry.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm going Tennessee. I think Tennessee's going to own Kentucky on this one, and I'm going to go Tennessee, make it to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, Kentucky has beaten Tennessee both times this regular season, but I think this is the time where Tennessee can go ahead and get some revenge and go ahead and say not this time and reach that Elite Eight.
Yeah. Um. So the Final Four. From this matchup, I have Tennessee beating Clemson here, and I have Tennessee going to the Final Four to face Duke.
All right. I got Clemson winning this one. Although it's
I
gonna
was
be
so
a
tempted, though. I was so
yeah,
tempted.
yeah. I kind of intended to make Clemson a Final Four team, and I mean this is going to be a really hard path for them to get past Tennessee. But looking at my other teams, I mean I got a 1 and I got two seeds
And
already.
we
It's
know
like I
what
had to have
happens, and we
one.
know what happens because it's not going to happen this way.
Yeah, there's not going to be all 1 and 2 seeds. I just got to pick one that's like a little lower, and Clemson was that team that I felt the best about, like them or Memphis, but I thought Memphis had a harder route to go, having to go against St. John's.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And then
Clemson's that team for me that's like your non-traditional top 3 or 4 that's going to be in the Final Four in my bracket.
our final four matchups are Auburn versus St. John's, Duke versus Tennessee for all the marbles. This
Okay.
one was hard. So I'll do the first one, you do the second game, and then we'll talk about that. So the first one I'll do first.
Yeah.
Auburn versus St. John's. I flip flopped on this so many times, but I can't just go with the grain, what everyone's saying they're going to go with. But I'm going to go stick with my gut, and I'm going to go Auburn. I just like the way they've been playing. Obviously, they haven't been playing great, but I like their team. They're veteran, and I know in the tournament the key is to have veterans, and to have as many veterans as they have. I just think Auburn's going to be just a little too much for St. John's. I'm going to go Auburn makes the championship game.
Yeah, so one versus two seeds. One seeds have won five of the last six times per the tournament challenge bracket. So interesting point there. Auburn a little more battle tested as we've talked about. Uh, 10 top 25 wins. Slightly better offense. St. John's slightly better defense. This is also going to be an interesting coaching matchup between Bruce Pearl and Rick Pitino. But I am in love with this Auburn basketball team, Ben. I'm
We're both
picking
just
them to go
loving it.
ahead and yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pick them to win against St. John's, although it's gonna be a close one. I think a lot
Yeah.
closer than what I got in the other side of the bracket.
Yeah, and then the other side, it's a lot easier than I think many people think it is. Man, wouldn't it be funny if we had SEC teams make the championship after we bashed the SEC for 14 teams?
And then they'll
Um,
hold that over everybody.
oh, I
Like,
know,
see, we were the best
but
conference.
I'm not. I'm putting Duke there in the championship game. I think Duke beats Tennessee. I just think Duke's a better team than Tennessee, and I think they're balanced. And with Cooper Flag, I don't know if Tennessee has someone that can compete with him on that stage if he's healthy. And so I'm going to go Duke versus Auburn in the national championship game.
So on my side, it's Alabama versus Clemson. I think this is where the Tigers run is going to come to an end. The Tigers from Clemson, that is. Alabama, I think they. I don't want to say they'll steamroll them. I respect Clemson a little more than that, but I think the offense is just going to take over for Alabama. And for me, Ben, it'll be an Iron Bowl national championship between Auburn and Alabama.
What a game! Oh, I'm sure the Crane boys would love that.
Oh man, yes.
Um, the Crane boys are going to love me because I'm choosing Auburn to beat Duke, and I'm going to say Auburn wins. I'm going to throw a score out there. I'm going to say Auburn wins 73-67. Auburn
Yeah.
wins.
Uh, just like Kevin Costner and Draft Day wrote down, take Vontae Mack no matter what. Before this one, I wrote down, take Auburn Tigers no matter what. So they're coming out. They're gonna battle Alabama right here. Let me go ahead and tell you the scores from the last matchups that they've had. So Auburn did beat them back in February 94 to 85. Alabama got them the second time around 93 and 91. That was such a hard fought game too. I think Auburn is the better team, and that's going to show here. But it's going to be another close game. I think like that second meeting. I'll go ahead and give you an 84 to 81 final, like that close.
So we both have Auburn winning it all, which is a rarity. It usually, man, I'm telling you, this year when we did our mock draft to start with, we're doing this now. We're like in weird form, Dan. Man,
We
we're
got
like in
like
weird form together.
without like off the top of my head, I think we got like 12 of the same Sweet
Yeah.
16.
So this is the thing.
12 or
People don't
13 of them.
realize, like Josh and I don't talk about either the draft picks or this before we get on air. So when we come on here, this is the first time we really hear anything from each other. And so it's just how much we've been talking over the last few years. I think we just kind of know where our brains are at, to be honest with you.
It might be
That's probably just the
so
way it is. So yeah, that
there
is
you have it.
that is the bracket. Please let us know in the comments. What are some of the upsets? Do you think there's a terrible, great, or whatever? Maybe once Rebecca fills her out at one point, maybe I'll share some of her picks and I'll share my brother's, maybe some other people that we hear of the next time. But I do believe that the next time we talk to you, obviously we'll have some results, but also we'll have another. I think we'll have another mock draft coming out. I think at least next week or the week after. I think it's next week. I'm not sure. We'll talk about it. We'll figure it out. But it will be mock draft will be coming up soon, especially after a lot of the free agency stuff kind of fizzles down. Obviously, you had the big news that the Bengals they finally decided to pay their guys after everyone else was paying their guys, and then
Jamar
realized.
Chase and yeah, T. Higgins
But
are
this is my
paid.
thing. You waited that long when you could have done this how many seasons ago you could have done this, but you decided you wanted to be cheapskates, and then you end up paying the richest contract in history. So screw you, Bengals. I love it. That's just the way it rolls. But anyways, baseball season's around the corner as well, so we'll be talking about baseball a little bit more often as that comes around. But yeah, we really appreciate it. This is one of our favorite episodes every single year to do, just to talk about college basketball and some of our favorite times. I mean, my memories of college basketball go back so many years. It's just a great time. It's a great time to be alive, I guess they would say. But anyways, hope you guys have a fantastic weekend or week because this will come out on Wednesday. So have a fantastic week. Hope you enjoy everything that comes your way. And if you've loved watching the episode on YouTube, go click that thumbs up button, the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you love us listening on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and share it with friends and family. Comment down below what is one upset from a 10 seed or lower that you're going to choose. And as always, till next time, we'll see ya.